All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Hannah Kripo. I'm the Content Marketing Manager here at Certiport. We're so happy to have everyone joining us for our second Cisco Certified Support Technician introductory webinar. Please feel free to drop into the chat. Let us know where you're joining from and what classes you teach. Hopefully Cisco is a big part of that. If not, hopefully we'll persuade you with our session this evening. Now, we are recording this webinar, so you'll receive a link to the full recording via email after the presentation has wrapped. All our attendees, therefore, are currently on mute. So if you have questions that you want to address to our presenters, our panelists, feel free to drop those into the chat or the Q&A feature, and we'll make sure to address those during our panel discussion today. Today, we're talking about improving outcomes on the new Cisco Certified Support Technician certifications, and we'll be learning from some incredible experts. Our first presenter is Mr. Dave Free. Dave works as the Product Strategy and Strategic Partnerships Lead for Cisco Networking Academy. He has over 12 years of experience in the educational technology industry, managing curriculum, platforms, and partnerships. So he's a perfect lead-in for our discussion today. Our second presenter is Patti West. Patti is currently a Cisco Networking Academy curriculum instructor at Santa Fe College. In addition to teaching, she's a collaborator and author of course materials on the Cisco Skills for All learning platform. Ms. West is a graduate from University of Central Florida with a BS in Instructional Design and Technology. Patti holds a Cisco CCNP, CompTIA Pen Test Plus, and other industry certifications. She has 20 plus years of experience as a network and telecommunications manager. In that position, she hired and supervised network and security technicians. When time allows, Patti can be found in her wood shop working on her next furniture project, and we're excited about that. Plus, we were just talking before we started our session today that Patti is waiting to welcome a new grandbaby. So lots of wonderful side hobbies that we're going to have for Patti over the next little bit. And our final presenter is Mr. David Watkins. David is the Director of Product Management at Certiport. In this role, David is responsible for guiding the product strategy for the company's courseware, practice, and exam portfolio. David has over 15 years of experience specializing in creating and deploying successful product offerings across many industries, including education, technology, software, and consumer goods and services. During David's impressive career, he has successfully grown products and brands from small startups to multi-billion-dollar companies. David has served on the Business Professionals of America Board of Directors for many years and was recently honored for the 2020 National BPA Outstanding Service Award. Prior to joining Certiport, David, a Boyd Smith Scholar, received his business marketing and Spanish degree from the University of Utah. And a special thanks to all of our panelists for being here today. And I'm going to stop sharing just so that we can see everyone's lovely faces. And we'll dive right in, just having everyone give a quick introduction into them and what they do. So Dave, we'll go ahead and start with you, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Hannah. And hello, everyone. Great to be here. Super excited, both to be here to have this discussion this evening, as well as about these certifications. We've worked for a long time with the good folks at Certiport and others within Cisco to bring them about. And we think they're going to add a lot of value, both to learners and to educators. So really excited about that. I'm based in sunny Mesa, Arizona, and happy to be with you this evening.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dave. David, we'll come to you next. I was just saying before the call that this is going to have to throw me. I'm going to have to keep you guys straight. So David, we'll come to you next.
That's right. Great to be with you this evening. Thanks so much, Hannah. Great to have that introduction. And thank you, Patti and Dave, for joining us as well. We're really excited about this Cisco networking program. And I think that those that are joining us this afternoon and evening will see some really great value associated with it. And we're focused on helping prepare both students and professionals for the relevant job ready skills necessary to meet the demand of employers, and excited to share some of the different products, solutions that will help you as both educators and individuals prepare for that success. So looking forward to the discussion today.
Thank you so much, David. Patti, will come to you last but not least.
Well, Hannah, you pretty much told my story. So I'm here in Florida, and if you can see the fireplace behind me, that's one of my furniture projects. So constantly busy. Yes. I've been with the Networking Academy program for pretty much the entire time that it's been available to students. So I've really enjoyed it.
Well, we love having the veterans here with us, and we know that you're going to have some wonderful advice. So I wanted to actually start our conversation, Patti, with your thoughts and feedback as we're thinking about these exams, specifically networking and cybersecurity. Why do you think these subjects are so important to teach in the classroom today?
Well, the first thing is you can't get away from it. Networking is everywhere. And cybersecurity is becoming more and more and more integrated and have to be constantly vigilant, and we have to understand how these things work. It's not something that you can just totally ignore anymore and say, oh, well, my house is fine. I have all these appliances and I have all these, cell phones and all these other devices. And my camera's not on the internet. Everything's fine. You can't take that attitude anymore. So the earlier that the students learn this stuff, the better off they are.
I like that. There's no way around it. I think it's important to be an educated consumer, right? In the technologies that we're taking part in every day. That's wonderful feedback. David, any thoughts from you on why networking and cybersecurity are so important for today's students?
Yeah, absolutely. They're in-demand skills that are needed. As we've traveled the world, quite frankly, the last month and a half, we've had the opportunity to visit places like Morocco and Indonesia and Panama and a couple of other places. We've spoken directly both with industry leaders and partners in those areas to get a better understanding of what they're seeing and what industry is requesting of them. And I'm convinced through discussion with those individuals globally, and of course the stakeholders and subject matter experts here locally in the US, there's no better skill set needed today than with networking and cybersecurity that's offered through this great certification program. So they're relevant skills, and there's no way better to get ahead in one's quest for success, both as a student and as a professional, than carrying that badge of certification endorsed by Cisco, and that's going to maximize immediate value for candidates, both monetarily and of course with additional opportunities for growth as they pursue their careers.
I like that. Thank you for bringing that color commentary from other countries. I looked into the chat and I just saw that we have some international attendees here as well, different parts of the world represented. So I know that we really appreciate that commentary from other countries outside of the United States. And Dave, we'll come to you last. What is Cisco seeing as far as networking and cybersecurity in the classroom are concerned?
Yeah, thanks. David and Patti did a great job, but what I would add is this. A few years ago to several years ago, you studied networking to be a network administrator, and you were going to be in networking. Those days are gone. Now you need to know some networking no matter which IT career you're going into. If you're going to be a developer, you're going to be in cyber, it doesn't matter, even data analytics, you got to know some networking because everything's connected, and whatever you're working on is going to be connected, and you need to have that background. So that's the first thing, and networking is just fundamental. And the second thing is a network's no good unless it's secure, right? So they really go hand in hand. You really got to have this security with the networking. And in order to do the security right, you really got to do it at the network level and build from there. So we're super excited. And obviously that's core, to Cisco and who we are, but we really believe that's true.
I love that. Thank you so much for that, Dave. And Patti, we wanted to come to you as kind of our educator expert. How do you approach teaching these skills in the classroom?
Well, having been with the Cisco Networking Academy, that's a big part of our strategy towards providing the students with the best possible networking education. The first thing is that it's all interactive. The course material is interactive. There's a lot of video. There's a lot of hands-on. We have both in our Networking Academy courses, we have actual equipment in the classroom. We also have the simulator, which I, really am a very big proponent of, because it's a way that students can practice and can do activities and can explore on their own without worrying that they're going to harm anything or without any great expense. So, that's a very big part of our teaching strategy, is to have them do hands-on. The other thing is there's lots of opportunity for group participation. in the courses. We have a multi-user simulator that the students can use independently, as well as connect their simulated network up to another simulated network. So there's a lot of opportunity for them to do group work as well. So pretty much all of the pedagogical activities are covered just through the various curriculum objects. We also have some really good assessment tools. So working, with those as well. And we'll get into those, both Dave and I we'll get into those as we talk. But yeah, there's just a lot of opportunity for the students to have interactive learning experiences.
I love that. And before we just go into it, I think a lot of teachers are probably wondering, so what are the resources that you use in the classroom? And I know you have some things that you wanted to share. So let's go ahead and share your screen and we can dive into those. What are the resources that are available for teachers wanting to teach to these new certification programs?
Okay. All right. Well, let me share a screen here real quick. I always say real quick, but it never seems to be.
That worked perfectly. It looks great.
Okay. Well, some of the things that I want to talk about is, first off, I know probably some of the people on this call are already teaching in Cisco networking academies, and the academy is providing all of the curriculum and the simulation software and a lot of resources for the instructors free of charge. You pay a little fee to belong to the networking academy each year, but for the students, they don't pay anything other than their regular course fees. They don't, the academy doesn't have an extra charge on top of that. We also have a newer offering called Skills for All, which is it can either be self-paced or instructor-led, and it's available on the web to pretty much anyone who registers. We also have the active learning components. We have a built-in simulation in many of our courses that the students can practice their commands, but we also have Packet Tracer. And Packet Tracer is a tool like no other. There's nothing on the market that allows instructors the flexibility to create their own activities, their own simulated activities, to have them self-grade, and to permit the students to just, build to their heart's content, I guess you could say, and test all of the various things that they've learned. All of these, resources are available to the instructors. I encourage instructors to go to Skills for All, which is skillsforall.com, and to register for some of the courses. I'm going to bring up a screen here. Let me share it as well. Okay, what you're seeing is the homepage for the Cisco Networking Academy, hopefully.
I think we're still seeing your slides, Patty. Do you want to stop share? And then it should give you the option to share the new.
Yeah, I said new share. I don't know why it's not doing that. Is it sharing it now? Do you see the homepage for the Cisco Networking Academy?
I'm still seeing the slides, but that could
okay. We're going to stop.
There we go.
We're going to stop and restart. Okay.
I probably shouldn't say this, but since I work for Cisco, I'm just going to say, we never have problems like this with WebEx. So,
what a shameless plug. Okay, now are you seeing the?
Yes, looks perfect.
Okay, this is the Cisco Networking Academy, and there are a list of all of the various courses that you can take. Most of these courses are, again, like I said, offered free of charge to students. So there's just a small fee for the support for the academy itself. And I think David could probably talk a little bit more about that. But the Skills for All is also, let me see if I can bring that up. the skills for all, are you seeing that?
Yes, we can see it. Looks great.
Okay. The Skills for All is a self-paced learning environment that can be either self-paced or instructor-led. And right now we are offering cybersecurity, an introduction to cybersecurity, and also the networking basics and networking equipment courses that students can sign up and register on their own. One of the things that's really nice about this is once you sign up for Skills for All, you can get started with Cisco Packet Tracer. And I'm going to show you the Cisco Packet Tracer screen here in a second. All right, are you seeing Packet Tracer? Are you still seeing Skills for All?
I still see the Skills for All.
Okay, we will do the stop and start again. Okay, are you seeing
Okay,
Cisco
now we
Packet
can
Tracer
see it.
now?
Yes, looks great.
All right, this is the Cisco Packet Tracer application, and Cisco Packet Tracer is a network simulator, and it simulates all of the various types of Cisco equipment, a whole selection of models, and you can connect them, interconnect them, configure them. You have a PCs that you can go into and you can run from the command prompt. So if you want to run the various utilities that are covered within this certification, things like ping or traceroute or ipconfig, all of those NS lookup can be run simulated, so the student doesn't have to have multiple PCs or multiple devices to do this with. They also can configure the equipment itself. So you can, no, sorry, not that one. You can configure the equipment itself and have access to the command line just like you would if you were sitting at a piece of equipment. And the nice part about this is some of these commands are covered on the certification as part of the objectives, so you can practice them as much as you want. Now, one of the other big advantages to Packet Tracer is that it has the ability to create scored activities. So you can create activities. There's many of them already created and available in the Cisco curriculums, but also an instructor can create these activities themselves. They can figure out, things that they would like their students to do as part of their classroom environment. And they can create these, and as the student completes them, the score will be updated. And this is a relatively painless activity on the part of the instructor. You simply create your answer network. In other words, you build the network that you want the student to create, and then you start with an initial network, which could even be a blank screen, but you can create the initial network that they start with. And then as they complete it, the completion percentage will score. So the student gets immediate feedback on what they're doing right or wrong. So that's a very nice thing about it. And you can notice that it's working right now in a logical view, but you can also view this in a physical mode. So the students get the opportunity to see what the equipment would look like. And one of the objectives in the certification is that they know what the lights are doing. And as you can see right here, you can actually see a simulation of what the lights would be doing in this environment. So it gives the student almost the same view of the equipment as they would have if it was sitting right there next to them. So this is a tremendous tool. It's free. All the students have to do is go out there and register. There are courses on Skills for All that teach you how to use Packet Tracer. So it's just a tremendous teaching resource. I can't imagine teaching networking without it, to be honest. It just gives them such an opportunity to, develop on their own and to create their own networks, to simulate their home networks and to do other things.
Patti, I have a couple questions that have come through the chat that I think it's good if we address right now, if that's okay.
Okay.
Someone just asked if there's immediate real-time instructor guided feedback or if it's system trained feedback that the students are getting as they're going through the Packet Tracer.
The students are getting the the system trained feedback.
Okay.
Now, almost all of the instructors that I know who work extensively with Packet Tracer have devised ways to provide additional feedback when the students do things right or wrong.
So that kind of bridges into the second question that was submitted. Is there a fast way for teachers to grade the packet tracers? Currently, I'm downloading each packet tracer to my desktop, opening each one up and looking at the % complete.
Yeah, there are various instructor created methods to do that. So if you are currently a Networking Academy instructor, if you go into the support area for Packet Tracer, there are a number of instructors that have developed ways to do that.
Wonderful. Okay. Those were the two questions that just came through. So I don't want to disrupt your flow. I just thought that those tied in nicely with what you were just sharing.
Now I'm basically going to turn it back over to you.
Wonderful. Okay.
If anybody
Well,
has
thank
any
you so much
additional
for that.
questions.
And we'll see if any more come through the chat, and we'll make sure to circle back at the end with any of those. But thank you for that quick demonstration, Patti. That was absolutely wonderful and very helpful to see the free options that are available through the Skills for All program. We really appreciate that. David, I wanted to come to you next. Now, of course, as part of our Certiport model of the Learn, Practice, Certify, Advance, we have curriculum options available for these new certifications. So I wanted to give you a chance to talk about what those look like and when those will be available.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Hannah. And thanks, Patti, for going over that. It's a great review of the Cisco Networking Academy offerings with great curriculum, resources, courses, simulations, and so forth. So thanks for the review. As you consider the need for preparation, it's key. And as we consider the candidates that are preparing for certifications, the majority of their time spent in these learning materials. And, at the end, of course, we want to help them aspire to get that certification to represent the hard work that they've done to set themselves apart. But 90% of their efforts are focused in those resources. And so having the right solutions that enable success are imperative. And I'm pleased to share that in conjunction with what's available with Cisco Network Academy, alongside some of the solutions that we have with some of our publishing partners as well, in my opinion, there's really no better program right now that has a better depth and breadth of solutions to make life easier for educators in the classroom. And when I say easier, we know that, your life is hard enough, and working in that classroom and helping students every day is a very, very important task and difficult task oftentimes. And so our goal at Certiport is to do the best we can to ensure we're equipping you with the solutions that make it easier for you to be effective in the classroom. I just want to share actually a quick story. In February of this year, we had the NBA All-Stars show up in Salt Lake City. We're from Salt Lake City, and I took my two kids to see the practice event. There's two events essentially that go on. There's the practice where all of these all-star players who play in the NBA come and practice literally for a couple of hours. And there's the actual game that takes place the following day. The game's far too expensive, but we were able to go to the practice portion of it and watch literally these superstars who are the best of the best in the NBA. And we watched them practice, and they spent time doing layups, dunks, dribbling and guarding and all sorts of different techniques. And as I was watching that, it made me think of what we get to do every day with students. We're helping them through practice. And some of the things that we offer, I just wanted to share, include curriculum from a company whose name is LearnKey. Some of you on the call may be familiar with them, but we take a best of breed approach across our portfolio of offerings. We have, in addition to Networking Academy, 26 publishers throughout the country and world that we work with. And in this instance, LearnKey courses are courses that are on-demand video training solutions, and they can be instructor-led, they can be self-paced study. And with these courses, it includes, of course, pre and post assessments, exercise labs, project workbooks, flashcards with memory games to encourage additional engagement. And when you couple that great learning along with practicing and preparing for the exam, that's when you really get, I think, a recipe for success. The practice test that we have available is called our Cert Prep practice test, powered by Geometrics. Many of you might be familiar with the Geometrics platform. Those practice tests are 100% aligned to the exam objectives of the exam. And some of the fun features that exist include a training and testing mode. So apprehension is certainly very high when one is preparing and taking a certification exam. And what this tool does is it allows individuals to get comfortable both with the content and the experience of taking a test. And when that occurs, pass rates, of course, increase. So in addition to that, there's the opportunity to have customized practice tests. So educators may want to go in and say, okay, I've taught this portion of the skills domain. Now I want to hone in a little bit more on some of these skill topics. So I want to create some customized practice tests to help a segment of a class. That's available. And then perhaps my favorite portion of what is offered are administrative reporting tools. And again, this is all around making it easier for each educator to be effective in helping to teach. Those administrative report tools allow to see progress. They help measure where there's lacking skills or areas and domains that there isn't necessarily complete comprehension yet. And it allows educators to focus in and create practice tests specific to what some of those needs might look like. Lastly, two things I'll just share. When you couple all of these great solutions with Network Academy and the options that we've got available as well, you increase customer confidence and candidate confidence. And we know that as we empower students with confidence, they go out in full force and are effective in their jobs. And as that happens, pass rates increase throughout classrooms as well. And then lastly, I'll just say, as you put this all together, you then have a candidate pool that's ready to serve industry. And, you know, when one gets a job, it's all about a relationship and a partnership. And that partnership includes providing services and efforts for an organization. And then in turn, the benefits to that candidate includes getting a paycheck and other great things. We did a survey just recently that included surveying 21,000 professionals in over 176 countries. And in that survey, and this is across a broad spectrum of certifications, candidates that get certified reported that 92% of them feel more confident in their abilities, 84% are more determined to succeed professionally, and 37% received salary increases. The benefits to employers were just as impressive. 81% of candidates produced higher work quality, 77% are more innovative, and 72% are more efficient. And so when you get the marriage between those two pieces, that's really where ingenuity happens and benefits to employers and candidates reside. So I'm excited about what we've discussed. Hannah, thanks for letting me share just a couple of comments. Any questions that the group might have relative to some of the points we've discussed thus far?
Yes, I just saw one and I know the answer, but I want to make sure that we capture it on the recording. So I'm going to ask it to you, David. Are these courses only available for students, or can teachers take the tests to also become certified?
Absolutely available to students and educators. And quite frankly, we want every educator on this call tonight and your colleagues to take the chance and opportunity to review the exam and get certified yourself. These solutions from Network Academy are available to you. We also have demo access for the ones that I've discussed this evening as well. Reach out if you would. We'd invite you to reach out to your territory manager at Certiport, and they would be happy to share with you what it is that you need to get access to those complimentary demos and exams.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, David. That was very helpful. A wonderful kind of walkthrough of the full pathway, as we call it. And I wanted to kind of come full circle back to Cisco now and go over to Dave to talk about any additional resources. I know Patti shined a great light on what Cisco has created, but Dave, any additional comments on things that may be coming down the pipeline or additional resources that are available from the Cisco team?
Thanks again, Hannah. Yeah, and David, thanks for that, and Patti, and I hope you can all see why we're so excited to be part of this partnership. It's really amazing resources and great people. So I think it might be helpful if I just step back. I don't know, of the participants here on the call, how many are familiar with Networking Academy, how many aren't. So just 2 quick minutes, maybe. We, the Networking Academy at Cisco, are celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. So the program has been in place for 25 years. It started 25 years ago in a high school in San Francisco, where one of our Cisco employees saw a need and an opportunity and began teaching networking to the students there in the very early days of networking. It's exploded since then. We have, over 3.5 million students a year participate in one of our courses. It is part of Cisco's corporate social responsibility, which means Cisco does this free of charge. So our curriculum, our platforms, our tools, including Packet Tracer, are completely free. Patti mentioned a service fee at the academy level. We have a network of partners that provide support for academies, and academies can sign up for this support, and there are fees associated with that. But in terms of the curriculum and the platform and the tools, we provide that completely free, because we know that number one, there's a technology gap out there, but our charter is to help learners be prepared for an entry-level position in technology, and that's what we're all about. A couple of platforms have come up. So netacad.com is the home base for Networking Academy. And if you're an educator and you're not a Networking Academy yet, I'd encourage you to go to netacad.com. There's a big blue button that says educator. Click on that, and there'll be a form there. You fill out that form, and one of our wonderful representatives will be in touch with you, help you get your school set up to be a Networking Academy. Again, completely free to get set up, to get access to these resources. In addition to netacad.com, we have skillsforall.com, which Patti talked about. And skillsforall.com is a direct-to-student platform. Anybody on the call can go there right now and sign up for these courses. These courses also, though, are not just self-paced for learners, but they're also offered to Networking Academy instructors to be able to use those courses in their class. And as an instructor, you get additional resources. A secure final exam, a PowerPoint for instructors, and other useful things that can help instructors teach these courses. Now, I'll just add that part of the investment that Cisco makes year after year is an investment in learning science. We study and work deeply to create courses, as Patti said, that are useful for instructors as they're teaching students and really engage the students. And so I was in a review earlier today with one of our cybersecurity courses, and the product manager was mentioning that 2/3 of the course are practice activities, and 1/3 of the course is content. So we really believe in hands-on. And wherever a school can have a lab, that's great, where they can actually do the switching of cables, et cetera. But we know that's not possible, particularly at the high school level. And thus Packet Tracer becomes a super powerful and important tool to give students those hands-on activities. And those Packet Tracer activities and labs are integrated right into our coursework. So if you teach one of these courses, the lab's going to have Packet Tracer activities. If you don't mind, Hannah, just really quick, let me share a couple of slides.
Yes, please.
That can give an overview of the curriculum that we have available. So are you seeing that okay?
Yes, looks wonderful.
Great. So let's start with networking. So what's represented here is our pathway for networking that leads to the CCST networking certification, the certification that's going to be available basically the end of this month. And so we have worked very closely with Certiport on developing that certification, and then have created curriculum that aligns to that certification. So in the blue box over to the left are recommended prerequisites that we think students probably need this basic information to be successful. So computer hardware. So we have a computer hardware basics course, just 6 hours, and operating systems basics course, just 12 hours. If the students already have that that knowledge, not required, but recommended that they have at least that kind of knowledge. And then as you shift over into the gold box, there's 2 pathways. The top one is really developed for self-paced learners. So we've divided the learning into smaller courses, as you can see: networking basics, networking devices, and initial configuration. These are smaller courses that students can take in a self-paced way. They're also available to instructors if instructors like teaching in those shorter type courses. But we've also pulled them all together in a new version of Networking Essentials that will be delivered actually at the same time this last week of April. That's about a 65, 70-hour course, so semester-long course that an instructor can open, teach their students through that course through the semester, and at the end, those students will be ready to go take that CCST certification. So really powerful. Again, these courses will all be available on Skills for All. If you're already a networking academy, you can just go access them on Skills for All. If you're not, go to netacad.com to sign up. So that's networking. I want to also mention cybersecurity. So this is another certification that's already available. This exam is already in the market. And this curriculum, for the most part, is, I'll talk about that. Same setup here. Our prerequisites that we recommend are some basic networking concepts, and on Skills for All, those courses are available. It actually pulls some of the courses from the networking pathway I just mentioned. And then as you get into cybersecurity, again, we've got the self-paced courses across the top, and you can see how many hours are associated with those courses, or a new cybersecurity essentials course, which we're calling 3.0, will again be available at the end of April in a semester-long format that leads to that CCST cyber certification. So that's kind of a lot that I'm throwing at you, but I wanted you to hopefully understand that we are very excited about these certifications and committed to delivering a learning experience that will help learners get what they need to be able to qualify for these certifications. And then, even more important, the next step, as David said, is getting that job. And we think this is a vital step for that. So with that, I'll stop sharing. And I don't know if any questions have come up.
No, your team has actually been doing a really good job of dropping the links into the chat. So thank you so much for that. We did have one question that just came through. I teach a year-long course. Would it make sense to teach networking essentials and then cybersecurity essentials, or how would you structure those together?
That is a great question. And a lot depends on what you're trying to accomplish. As I said, if you'll go to skillsforall.com, you can look at the skillsforall.com, look at the cybersecurity learning pathway, and we make a recommendation there for which courses out of the networking basics pathway to teach before you go into cybersecurity. So that will prepare them for that cybersecurity certification. If you want your students to get both certifications, then you probably do one semester of networking, get that networking, then another semester of cybersecurity and get the cybersecurity.
That's the way that we teach it.
I was just going to ask Patti if you had any thoughts about that as well. So that's good.
No,
That's
we teach it in a year-long curriculum as well, and we teach the networking essentials and the cybersecurity.
Perfect. So we had another question that just came through. Dave, can you show Skills for All in case there are instructors in Cisco how to toggle to be an instructor instead of a learner? So I think there's, if I'm understanding correctly, there's a back end for instructors and then a back end for learners as well.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Are we putting you on the spot with that one?
I'm not prepared to demo that, okay. But my understanding is depending on your credential, when you sign into Skills for All as an instructor, you're going to have an I'm learning or an I'm teaching tab, and so that's the toggle.
Okay, wonderful, thank you.
And if I stated that wrong, members of my team, please correct me in chat.
I'm sure Patti could also correct you on that, since I know that she's an expert as well. So.
No, someone I saw in the chat was asking about higher education, and I teach in 2 colleges in Florida, and we have incorporated the networking courses and the cybersecurity courses into our IT curriculum as the entry-level first year courses, and then most of the time our students then go into the CCNA based courses.
Wonderful.
So we have them starting out at the essentials level.
Perfect. I think that gives us a good kind of timeline, especially for educators who are teaching maybe both in late high school, early college, to know kind of where these certifications, where this curriculum will best fit. And I just saw, Dave, that one of the members of your team just dropped in the chat. So the toggle's on the right-hand side of the screen, and there's a drop down to be able to switch between the two. So it looks like it's pretty simple, which is very helpful. So thank you, Sarah, for sharing that as well. I wanted to wrap up with just one last question, and we'll start, Dave, with you, and then we'll come back around to Patti to end things off. But just in thinking about the educators who are here in this session or who are watching the recording, what advice would you share with them looking to prepare students for careers in networking and cybersecurity? So Dave, will come to you first.
Great. Thanks, Hannah. Let me respond to a question I see in the chat real quick.
Yes, please.
I think leads to it. So the question is, would we recommend these materials for higher education computer science program? And the answer is yes, if it meets your needs. And what's even cooler is our flagship at Networking Academy for years has been the CCNA program. So from these CCST certifications, we also offer curriculum above at associate level. So for CCNA, for cyber ops, for DevNet associate. So if you're in higher ed and you feel like these are too low for you, check out the other curriculum that we have, because we have curriculum that goes higher.
Perfect.
And then to your question, I would say dive in. As we've tried to explain, there are a lot of resources available. And this is the cool thing about networking and even cybersecurity in the tech space is it's very hands-on, and cybersecurity is very, puzzle solving. It really engages young minds. And so if you can help them catch that excitement through tools like Packet Tracer and actual, games in cybersecurity and actually handling the routers and switches, et cetera, you can really capture their imagination. And then there's just tons of resources out there, and we're going to continue to try to improve to help you on that path.
Wonderful, Dave. Thank you so much for that. David, we'll come to you next. Any advice that you want to share with those listening?
Absolutely. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you for the great discussion. Education is key. Education is one of my favorite quotes. It states that education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. We're always learning. And there's no better way to do what's needed in terms of learning that provides opportunity than to prepare oneself and students with this great certification with Cisco program. And I'm confident that as each of you take a moment to consider what's available to you, I would ask that we've shared a lot. Please don't get overwhelmed with all of the great solutions. Just know that there's a lot available to you, and the purpose all of which is to make life easier for you, to be effective in the classroom. Visit these links that have been shared with you. Visit the certiport.com Cisco webpage is where we've got a great link that helps you understand how to get started and know that you make a difference. One last story I just want to share. I have a son who's graduating from high school this year in a couple of weeks, and he has a college career counselor, excuse me, that he's been working with, and she won best of state in the state of Utah. And she made a difference in the life of my son. And from the very get-go, when he started high school, she sat down with him and said, "Tell me your goals." And he shared some of his thoughts and insight, and she helped prescribe a plan of opportunity and classes that he should take, certifications that he should grant and achieve. And with her help, he's now graduating with 50 college career credit hours, and has a number of scholarships and certifications as well. And I must say, none of that is because of me as his father. All of that is because of his mother, of course, and then also you as educators. If he hadn't have had that person who cared about him to make a difference, then he wouldn't be in the trajectory that he's at today. So you inspire us. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you so much, David. We appreciate that. Patti, I know there's no better note for us to end on than the perspective of an educator. So I wanted to wrap things up. Any advice that you would share with those who are listening?
Well, the first piece of advice that I would share is that keep it fun. Just keep it fun. Everything in networking, I've done this my whole life. I've done networking since it started. And It's one of those things that you're never finished. It's always changing, and it can always be fun. So that's the first thing to impart in your students. This isn't a task. This is fun. This is something exciting and interesting. And the other thing is to encourage them to pursue certifications, because I work in placing a lot of students into internships, and always the deciding, when you have two students that have pretty much been through the same level of education, have the same courses behind them, the ones that have the certification always get that little edge. And maybe in the long term, the certification and the experience match. But when you're first starting out, that thing, that little piece of paper, that really does make a difference, because people know if you've got that certification, you understand the vocabulary, you understand the basic concepts, and they can teach you the rest, on the job training. But just knowing that you don't have to explain, this is why a switch doesn't know the IP address of the packet. This is why this. The certification proves that those students have that. And the people that, that employ entry-level interns or apprentices, that matters to them. Mm-hmm. So you just need to, impress your students with the idea that if they want to have that little bit of an edge in the competition, that's well worth it.
Patti, thank you so much for sharing those thoughts and for the work that you do. I really agree with what Dave and David have shared, that the educators who we get to work with really make our job so meaningful and important. And we are so grateful for all that you're doing to train the next generation of professionals. We know there's a lot of work that goes into that, and we really appreciate everything that you do. So thank you, Patti, David, and Dave, for being here with us today. And for those who spent the time learning with us this evening, we really appreciate you. Just as follow up, I know we dropped this into the chat as well, and we announced this at the beginning. This is a recorded session, so we will be sending out the recording. So if you weren't able to catch the whole thing or have additional questions that you wanted to ask as follow-up to our presentation today, we'll be sending that out, and you're more than welcome to reply and reach out to us so that we can get you the information that you need. So thank you so much, everyone. We hope you have a great rest of your evening, and we will be in touch soon. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye.